Walking into the church, I was presented with the sight of the stained glass window illuminated beautifully by the lighthouse beam. They lined up perfectly. Pressing the button, whatever mechanical process it used was a mystery to me, but pressing the button caused the panes of glass to tilt ever so slightly, so that the white light from the fort was split into 4 different colors that seemed to dance around the window. As soon as the plates in the stained glass window clicked into place, forming a translucent cross at the center, I heard a rumble behind me, the sound of antique machinery somewhere beneath the stone floor. The uneven stone staircase descended beneath the church into a dark, narrow tunnel. The passageway twisted far away from the church, finally emerging in a round room lit only by a pale shaft of moonlight filtering through a narrow hole above. Tombs surrounded me in solemn silence. I had found the sanctuary crypt. I needed to know what was on the other side of that wall, and this was a situation that called for some straightforward destruction. You're free now, Yardley. He can't keep you imprisoned anymore.
So you are the mortal who is trying to find the lost treasure of Belmore Manor before me.
Rackham.
You know who I am. Surely you must also know that you have started down a foolish path. It will only end in your death, Murphy McCallan.
I know all about your plan, Rackham.
My plan will succeed with or without your interference. I'm afraid you're making a terrible mistake, McCallan. For your own sake, I suggest you leave this island for good.
Never. Whether you like it or not, I'm part of this story now too.
Don't let it be said I didn't warn you. If you're so interested in being friends with the dead, perhaps it's time you joined them. Just as Yardley Belmore was entombed alive, so shall you be.
Rackham's spell had transported me somewhere I couldn't immediately place. I was lying down, my arms pinned to the side of me, my hands only able to feel the grain of the wooden boards to the sides and above and below me. And then I heard the noise, something thudding on the boards above me. That's when I realized I was being buried alive. By the time I finished drilling my way out with the auger, I'd be under several feet of dirt. I fumbled in my pockets and took out the screw jack, bracing it between the floor and the lid. With each crank, the pressure grew and grew, until finally... Hey! Could you get me out of here?
Murphy? What are you doing down there?
Trying to not be down here.
I'll go fetch a ladder. Don't go anywhere.
Where do you think I could go? Before I'd even reached the top of the ladder, Edgar had fled to the safety of his shack, far away from the grave where he'd inadvertently tried to bury me. But one good thing had come out of it. Now I had Yardley's key. The tin was full of nothing but holes. Hello, my name's Murphy McCallan.
Hello, chum. Looking to hire a ferry?
Maybe?
Then come set sail with Crab Macready, when a ferry's really what you needy.
Crab's breath hit my face like a custard pie, a cloud of air reeking of cigarettes and stale beer.
Look, here's a promotional flag, so you can keep me in mind.
I'll treasure it.
Now, I can take you anywhere on the coast. Where are you looking to head to? Do you have a partner or an illicit liaison in mind? I do a very romantic sunset cruise.
Is this your ferry? It looks like it's held together with spit and glue.
That's right, but rest assured, my spit is remarkably viscous. You find yourself aboard the Creaky Crab 2. I am her captain, Crab Macready. I get most of my business ferrying over to the mainland when the tide's covered up the causeway.
Are you a member of the Captain's Club?
Oh, they banned me, those pompous buffoons. That Felix is full of himself.
What happened?
There used to be a club parrot called Squawkin' Hawkins, until he was taken away. Bird-napped, I'd say. See, I'm a big bird lover. They're very intelligent creatures, and I used to try to teach him poetry. Well, Felix Greer wasn't having none of that. I think he was getting jealous that the bird had more brains than him. He kicked me out. Well, I got a little upset, like anybody would. Words were exchanged, loudly, and he told me I wasn't welcome back. The cheek of it. Kicking me out when I'm a hard-working captain. That landlubber would get seasick using a washcloth.
Why do you like birds so much?
They're the sailors of the sky, even the ones that can't fly. You tell me, have you ever looked an emu in the eye and not felt a sense of kinship? Seen that look that says it wants to explore beyond the horizon?
I've never imagined an emu thinking anything different to that.
I love anything with a beak, except platypuses. Don't get me started on them. Now, I take it upon myself to look after the feathered friends on this island. Squawking Hawkins now lives on a perch on my balcony. I have a name for every seagull that flies over Dead Nettle. And I look after Doris.
Doris?
Doris the chicken, over at Baxter's Mill.
What happened to the creaky crab one?
That's it over there, with its bow peeking out of the water. I was out in the bay last Mardi Gras and looked down into the inky depths. Honest to God, I saw a mermaid staring back at me. I rushed back into Dead Nettle with such fervour I forgot to slow the engine once we reached the docks.
Was it really a mermaid you saw?
Nah, turned out I'd forgot to take my wig off from the costume contest that night, and I'd just seen my own reflection.
I'd like to hire your ferry.
Sure, give me a map of where you want to go and I'll see if I can get you there. I'm the best ferryman this side of the Gulf. From Baton Rouge to the Bermuda Rectangle. I'm your man.
I thought it was called the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, sure it is now. Ever since one of its sides mysteriously disappeared.
I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
I glanced at the ledger on the podium. It was mostly empty, and the words I could see were written in such an unreadable scrawl that looked like a centipede had dipped its legs in ink and skittered across the page.
These are complimentary matchbooks for members only.
I am a member.
Oh yes, how silly of me to forget.
Hello again, Felix.
Hello again, sir.
Crab McCready told me you kicked him out of the club for teaching a parrot poetry?
Yes, that's quite correct.
That doesn't seem very fair.
You didn't hear the poetry. If I may regale you, there was a young man from Bombay. Took the slow boat to China one day. He was pinned to the tiller by a frisky gorilla, and China's a bloody long way.
I see.
Apologies if we're in disagreement about whether that sort of material is appropriate for the Captain's Club.
Nope. Can't argue with that. Very fair conclusion. I best be casting off.
Farewell, Captain.
I'd like to charter your ferry, please. I have a map here to... Huh? What's that?
Shh, shh, quiet! The show's starting. Signore, signori, ladies and gentlemen, the magic and mystery of the theater comes together with the artistry of the craftsman. I was going to say that. You're interrupting me. You started it. This is very unprofessional. To present to you the fantastical battle between good and evil, a struggle between right and wrong. I just said that. The timeless tale of Pulcinella. I was supposed to announce the title.
Perhaps it was the piratical air that brought to mind the mimicry skills of a parrot. If Squawkin' Hawkins could do it, maybe I could give it a try.
You're speaking over my lines. I'm not speaking over your lines. You're adding in lines that weren't in the script.
Abigail's ghost was once again back in her bedroom, now fully consumed by the wicked spell Rackham had trapped her in. The minutes left before he married her were falling away like dominoes. The contrast between the bride and her reflection was clear. While the bride in front of me buried her face in sadness, her reflection was clearly at the dawn of the happiest day of her life. If only she knew what was to come. The necklace I was carrying exactly matched the one around the neck of the bride's reflection. This must have belonged to the sailor. It was time to reunite it with its other half. As the reflection disappeared back into the mirror, I looked at the dresser and saw that something had been left behind. A small ivory comb. I didn't think Abigail would mind if I took the comb with me. Remembering my childhood days, I wrapped the tissue paper around the comb to form a rudimentary kazoo.
Non ci posso credere. That was my moment. Your moment. We agreed in rehearsals that this scene would be about me. Because I did no such thing. You did it again! Mama always told me you'd try to upstage me. Che pazza. Mama told you that. She always told me I should go solo. Right, that's it. I quit. You quit. I quit first. You'll never work in this town again. Work in this town again? We only arrived this morning. You sabotaged the show.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was just...
That was hilarious. I liked it when the puppets fight, but I love it when it's the puppeteers.
Glad you enjoyed the show.
Could I borrow those instruments you used? If they come back, I'd like to direct the encore.
Sure, I doubt I'll have much more use for them. Could you take me to Crossbone Cove?
Well, look at that. That's quite the dangerous destination. Do you know how many boats have crashed against the rocks along that coast?
Does that mean we can't go?
Oh, sure we can. But it'll cost you.
How much?
Boat charter, insurance, perilous route supplement, double pay at this time of night. It's gonna cost you at least $50.
$50?
Plus tax. Let's call it $75 total.
75?
But listen, I'll give you private hire of the ferry for the rest of the night.
I don't have that much.
No problem. Just get back to me when you do. As I say it, you've got no other choice. Ain't no other ferry around at this time of night.
My name's Murphy McCallan. Nice to meet you.
Oh, yes. Hello. Pleased to meet you. I'm Muffy Carlyle.
Wait, I think I've heard of you. Doesn't your family run a banking firm in New York?
That's the one. Are you familiar with the Carlisle Provincial Accounts and Joint Stock Corporation?
Actually, the reason I remembered you was because I was amazed the owner had a son named Muffy.
It's a nickname. Nanny gave it to me because my ears were always cold.
What's so important about the pebbles?
It's not the pebbles themselves. It's what's inside them.
What's inside the pebbles?
Dinosaurs.
I'm sorry. I think I'm missing something here. You think there are dinosaurs living inside the rocks?
Not living. They're extinct. So I've been told. But skulls, bones, fossils.
Oh, you're a fossil hunter?
That's right. But this beach seems terrible for them.
Why is this beach terrible for fossil hunting?
Too many people wandering across here. The place has been picked dry. I need somewhere secluded. A beach no one ever goes to. Are you from around here? Do you know anywhere like that?
I'm afraid I don't.
Well, do let me know if you find anywhere. I'd pay a pretty penny to go somewhere with potential.
Have you found many fossils before?
Only one. It was in our flower garden. The summer house, actually.
Fascinating. Where did you find it?
In a plant pot.
A plant pot? Shouldn't it have been in the ground?
Yes. Nanny told me she planted it there for me to find. Couldn't stand the look of disappointment on my face.
Oh, this was when you were a child.
No, last week.
What's that book over there on the table?
That's my research text, all about dinosaurs.
A paleontology textbook?
No, Dunstan the Dinosaur. A thrilling series of books for the young reader. And the reader who is young at heart. My favorite is Dunstan and the Mysterious Meteor from Mars.
Have you been out here long?
Just a couple of hours. Rufus dropped me off just after supper.
Dropped you off, but the causeway is flooded over.
I didn't come via the causeway. I got here on the yacht.
You have a boat?
The Plucky Plesiosaur. I named it myself.
Do you work for your father's company too?
That's right. I'm Executive Director of New Initiatives.
And what exactly does that entail?
Oh, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But Papa does say it requires me to be out of the office as much as humanly possible. Muffy, he tells me, if I have to see your face around here, I'll end up moving to Tibet and joining a monastery. So even if I'm not sure exactly what my job is, clearly it is very important.
Well, good luck with your search.
I'll never give up. That's the dinosaur way.
Did you say you were looking for a more secluded beach?
Yes, that's right. Have you found one?
Look at this. Further along the coast is a bay called Crossbone Cove.
Crossbone Cove. does sound very bony. How do we get there?
There's a ferryman in town named Crab McCready who can take us to Crossbone Cove. We just need $75 to cover the charter fee.
Oh, absolutely. I can spare some of my allowance. Let me write you a check. That should cover it.
I'll go charter it at once. Will this cover the ferry payment?
Oh, I didn't think you'd get that much. Sure it will. Who's this Carlisle guy?
Oh, he's coming too. He's funding the trip.
Well, he gets a promotional flag too.
Gee, thanks.
Consider this ferry chartered. Thank you for placing your trust in the Crab McCready Ferry Company, despite all the reviews. Now, once your compatriot is here, we can cast off. Pin that map up inside the cabin, will you? It'll be a tricky voyage to Crossbone Cove. I haven't sunk yet. This month.
And so we were off, captained by a man whose body composition had more alcohol in it than a bottle of vodka. And yet he navigated like a seasoned dancer, pirouetting through the treacherous currents with a drunken grace, all the while sipping from a flask that smelled stronger than window cleaner. Crab, I can't complain about your captaincy skills, but I've got to ask, how did you get through those treacherous rocks with so much alcohol in your bloodstream?
Murphy, if I didn't have the alcohol in my bloodstream, I wouldn't be going anywhere near those rocks in the first place.
I didn't want to disturb the rock pile. I might have made it collapse. Looking back out through the narrow inlet across the waves, I could see Fort de la Moor, with its ramparts of antique cannons and lighthouse-top tower. Currently, it was shining away from Crossbone Cove. Hey Crab, what is this thing?
That there's a cairn, probably built centuries ago.
What was it used for?
The cairns were used by pirates as markers. You see, with all these coves and caves along the coastline, it'd be easy to lose track of which one held the booty. So they'd stack up the rocks and put something reflective on top, like a shard of metal from a broken cutlass or a handheld mirror. Then, as they'd sail the coast, they'd shine their lanterns across the beaches, and if they saw something reflect back, they knew that's where they'd hidden the stolen loot.
Do you think the cove still has treasure?
I don't think so. What's the point of hiding gold and jewels if you don't come back to collect and spend them?
I balanced the brooch on top of the cairn, its reflective jewel facing out to the horizon. If pirates could make use of this, maybe I could too. Hello again, Muffy.
Hello, Murphy.
Any luck finding those fossils?
Nothing. I'm beginning to think this island doesn't have any fossils.
Have you found anything at all?
Only these.
Oh my goodness, Muffy! Those are gemstones. Rubies, emeralds, sapphires. This might be genuine pirate treasure.
But they're not fossils, are they? They're nothing more than baubles. They're not the figurative footsteps of ancient behemoths, the skeletal remains of the kings of the prehistoric world. I'll have you know, I'm not conducting this exploration for financial gain, but for the love of dinosaurs. Here, you seem rather entranced by them. You can have them.
Gosh, thank you, Muffy. What do you think of Crossbone Cove, Muffy?
I feel like a real explorer out here. Such daring and tranquil isolation. Inaccessible. Miles from civilization.
It's nice to get away from it all, isn't it?
Just the place to build a summer retreat, I'd say. A manor on the cliffside, a pier for the yacht, connect up a road for Rufus, my driver, a few cottages for the staff. Then I'd be able to enjoy the isolation properly.
You haven't seen a cave around here, have you?
I'm afraid not. Why? Have you lost one?
It appears so.
Well, don't give up. Things are always in the last place you look.
Good luck with the fossil hunting.
I'm close. I can feel it.
Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
Isn't there supposed to be a cave here?
Looks like there's been a rock slide. Not unusual on this side of the island. The Caribbean hurricanes hit these coves with full force.
Do you think there are any fossils on this beach?
Bones? Here? Nah, I don't think so. You see, most of the rock is igneous. It doesn't have the right sedimentary process and stratigraphic considerations. You need to have a thorough understanding of geologic timescales and the depositional environments present in a particular era to fully grasp why fossils wouldn't be found in rock formations like these.
I didn't expect you to know so much about geology.
Most people don't. Skills like that, you keep close to your chest. Never know when they'll come in useful.
What do you think of Muffy persisting in his search?
Well, everybody needs a hobby, right? I collect rubber ducks.
You continue to surprise me, Crab. So pirates used to use this beach to stow hidden treasure?
I heard this one was used by Captain Crumb.
He's related to Jasper Crumb, the jeweler, isn't he?
Hard to believe, isn't it? One of the most vicious pirates to sail these seas. Until he got the wind knocked out of his sails. How a bloodline can go from a man who would cut through a dozen men for just a single doubloon to a man who came off worse in a fight with a budgie is beyond me.
What knocked the wind out of Captain Crumb's sails?
Some say it was a ghost ship. Personally, I think he must have had a midlife crisis. Tried to find something more fulfilling, like crochet or watercolour painting. All that swashbuckling would wear anyone out.
I'd like to head back to Dead Nettle, please.
I'll stay here. Come back for me later. I'm not leaving until I find a fossil.
That guy's elevator doesn't go all the way to the top floor now, does it? Hop aboard, Murphy.
Welcome back!
The cabinet was filled with precious jewels, geodes, and fossils next to a small sign that read, Treasures of the Earth. Good evening, Mr. Crumb.
How can I help you?
How come you're working so late?
Well, the wife's gone to visit her cousin Winnie for a few days, and if I stayed in my bedroom, I'd just start going loopy.
I'm looking for 3 keys.
No, unless they're the gem-encrusted keys to a lady's heart, I don't think I can help you. I'm a jeweler, not a locksmith.
Have you heard of something called the Coffin Stone? Jasper's eyes grew to double their size with a look of both excitement and fear.
How do you know about that?
I'm starting to think it's real.
I thought you didn't believe my tale about the ghost ship.
I do now.
Then I'm happy to tell you everything I know. Now, don't be telling anyone this, but I've read the captain's log, and the coffin stone was what murdered my great-great-grandfather's crew. Try telling people that a little bit of rock could allow a single pirate to overrun a galleon, and you're laughed at. But that's exactly what he says happened. 86 crew members, all killed by a magic stone. Their souls dragged from their bodies.
Who was wielding the stone?
A pirate called Captain Skellett. Truth be told, he wasn't much of a pirate for the first years of his career on the high seas. But almost overnight, he became the most feared gentleman ever to fly the black flag.
What happened to him?
Nobody knows.
And the stone?
Nobody knows that either. But if you hear anything, do tell me.
I've been to Crossbone Cove. I was told your great-great-grandfather used to use it to store his loot.
You made it there and back in one piece? If you're pulling my leg, you'll need to be careful, because my hip's been dodgy for years.
No, really. I hired Crab McCready to take me there in his ferry.
Now I know you're fooling me. Hiring Crab McCready. I've never heard such lunacy. Nobody with an ounce of sense would let him captain a quiz team, let alone a journey out along the southeast shore.
Are these fossils for sale?
Goodness me, you're the second person today to ask me about them.
Let me guess. The first one was a gentleman called Muffy?
I didn't catch his name, but he pressed his face up against the cabinet so hard he left nose prints on the glass. Wouldn't stop asking questions about where I found them. Seemed to think they were from here on the island. Didn't have the heart to tell him I brought them all back from a vacation in Grimstone, Arizona. Total time waster. Who was he anyway? Friend of yours?
Not exactly. His name is Muffy Carlyle.
Of the Carlisle Provincial Accounts and Joint Stock Corporation?
That's him.
You mean to tell me one of the richest men in the country was in my store? My store. Selling the finest watches, necklaces, jewelry, and rings? And all he wanted to talk about was rocks and bones? Excuse me. I feel a little faint.
Do you think I could buy a fossil?
You certainly can, if you can afford it.
Could I take it on account?
On account of what?
On account of me having no money. I think I'll just look around for now.
I'm here if you need me.
I've got something to sell that I think you'll be very interested in.
Wonderful! What is it you're selling?
These are genuine pirate gems. They were discovered at the treacherously inaccessible Crossbone Cove, where they must have laid undisturbed for 2 centuries. Just imagine their history. Fierce ship battles, sword fights, X marks the spot. They must be priceless.
That's a very exciting story, Murphy. But I'm afraid what we have here is glass.
Glass?
Yes, sea glass. Bits of bottle or a broken lantern, perhaps. They fall into the sea, then get smashed up into little pieces by the rocks. The tide wears them down until you end up with pretty little polished pieces like this.
Does that mean you're not going to buy them off me?
I'm afraid not. But they are pretty. I'll tell you what I'll do. Have a look and see if there's something you'd like to trade them for. Does that sound like a deal?
Sounds like the best deal I'm going to get. Could I trade the sea glass for one of these fossils?
Certainly. I think that's within your price range. Which would you like?
The swirly one at the front would be great. Thank you.
Pleasure doing business with you.
Hello again, Muffy.
Hello, Murphy.
I just spoke to Crab, and he doesn't think we'll find fossils here after all.
No, Murphy, we must not give up. I can feel we're close.
Good luck with the fossil hunting.
I'm close. I can feel it.
Muffy, look what I just found.
Is that what I think it is? A dinosaur fossil. A memento of the behemoths. A shadow of a bygone age. My very own dinosaur. That's an ammonite, that is.
Really not helping here, Crab.
Just saying.
And it was right here where you were searching. You were right after all.
I was right.
I'm a real-life paleontologist. This'll show Papa.
Crab, we're heading back to Dead Nettle. Muffy found what he was looking for.
Glad to hear it. Step aboard. Where did your friend run off to so fast?
I have no idea, but I think we made a childhood dream come true tonight.
I am so overwhelmed, I might spew right across the deck.
It was the gunpowder barrel the cat had knocked over, now spilling out its contents onto the cold stone floor. I took a handful of the spilled gunpowder. With so many coves and caves along the coast, it was difficult to make out what was what. Crossbone Cove lay somewhere out there, but I would need some way of knowing which one it was. As I directed the light along the coast, it caught the polished brooch I'd placed on the cairn, reflecting back the light fantastically, like a signal mirror. I poured the gunpowder into the cannon. I loaded the billiards trophy into the cannon, spherical and solid metal. It was the perfect improvised cannonball. I packed in the gunpowder and makeshift cannonball. Now there were just 2 steps remaining. Aim and fire. Whoa! With the brooch at Crossbone Cove reflecting light back from the lighthouse, I knew exactly where to aim. I took a match out of the matchbook and lit the cannon's fuse. I felt like a pirate captain about to unleash a broadside barrage. Ready the cannons, you scurvy scallywags! Pull the ship to port, down with the mainsail! Buckle your swash and fire! That looks like it might have worked.
Well, blow me down. What's happened here? Did you do this, Murphy?
I needed to find a way in.
Well, Aladdin, I think you found your magic cave.
The cannon fire had worked. The boulders that had fallen in the rock slide were now rubble strewn across the beach, revealing what I'd been searching for, a dark cave winding into the cliffside. A ghostly glow flickered from the far end of the cave as I slipped on the seaweed-covered rocks trying to reach it. I began to fear the worst, but as I emerged in the subterranean chamber, I discovered it was actually the otherworldly glow of plankton. The thought of touching the skeleton sent a shiver down my spine. I found you, Xavier. Your final expedition won't have been in vain.
I grow weary of your inability to heed my warning, Murphy McCallum. No good shall come from you pursuing this.
What you've done to Abigail Belmore cannot be allowed to continue.
Abigail Belmore is dead, as will you be, if you continue this pathetic charade.
She deserves to be free, just like all the ghosts of the manor.
You haven't learnt, have you, McCallan? Everything you've done so far has just made the situation worse. Now is the time to back out.
I'll never do that, Rackham. Finding the treasure is more important to me now than it's ever been.
Then I hope it's a cause you're willing to die for. Just as Xavier Belmore drowned in the rising tide of this cave, so shall you.
When Rackham's earthquake finally stopped, I realized the route I'd followed into the cave was blocked. Tons of impenetrable rock and rubble now stood between me and the outside world. I was trapped. The only source of light was the glowing algae in the water, but even that dimmed to darkness when it went undisturbed in the quiet cave. At any point, the cave could fill up with seawater, drowning me just as it had Xavier. I needed to find a way out. I wasn't going to be able to pick up the algae with my bare hands. I scooped up some of the algae water. With a quick shake to agitate it, the bottle began to shine like a blue lantern. As I stood still, I noticed the algae beginning to dim. I'd read that its glow was triggered by vibrations, and without my footsteps, it was getting darker. As the darkness dimmed in the cave, I began to make out a faint luminescence in the form of a whirlpool. Some turbulence beneath the water was making the algae glow, and I hoped it might be an underwater tunnel. The lights below the water didn't offer much chance of escape, but at least it was better than waiting to drown in the cave. Using the bottle of algae as an underwater lantern, I waded into the water, then dived down below the surface. The underwater tunnels felt like a maze. I pulled myself past jagged rocks and twisting passages, with only the ethereal blue glow of the algae to light my way, until finally, with only seconds of air left in my lungs, I reached the surface.
Murphy, what are you doing over there? It's dangerous to swim out here, you know. You could get washed into a sea cave or something.
Thanks for the advice, Crab. I'll make a note of that. Green from the seawater I'd swallowed, I could at least say I'd survived being drowned. And now I had Xavier's key. Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
I'd like to head back to Dead Nettle, please.
Hop aboard, Murphy.
Welcome back!
There was no reason to use the microscope without something to magnify. Could I use your microscope to look at this coin I found?
Oh! Are you a fellow fan of numismatics?
I prefer the old ones.
Yeah, never mind. Go right ahead.
With the microscope calibrated, the coin's writing came into focus. It read, "Into the palm of a prince." The inscription must have been a clue in Cecil's treasure hunt. I just had to find the prince's palm he was referring to. If I touched the grease with my bare hands, I'd be spending hours trying to wash it off. Using one of the cotton flags, I scooped up some of the gloppy grease. I wondered what I could do with the coin-sized indentation in the statue's hand. Following the inscription on the coin and realizing that the metallic statue depicted an Indian prince, I took a close look at the statue's palm. For the first time, I noticed a slight circular indentation, about the size of a coin. I placed the coin into the statue's hand. It fit the indentation exactly, into the palm of a prince. No sooner had I done it than I heard sparks and hums coming from inside the statue. That's when I realized it wasn't a statue at all. It was an automaton. A robotic figure made to move with cogs, wires, and electrical pulses. It seemed to be fighting to move, but then, nothing.
Well, blow me over with a dandelion. I didn't expect anyone to get that working again.
It's not doing much.
Joints will be frozen, I should think. No wonder after all these years. Another job for me to do, and a dangerous one at that. Who knows how many volts Master Cecil ran through that thing to get it moving.
Using the flag soaked in grease, I began to oil the automaton's joints. I placed the coin back in the automaton's hand and watched. The cap of the scroll case opened and revealed something inside.
Well, there's life in the old thing yet. Gives us all hope, doesn't it?
I picked up the piece of paper that had fallen from the statue. Unrolling it, I discovered it was a death certificate, all filled in except for one key piece of information. The name was missing. It was certainly a clue, but who did it belong to? As I returned to the docks, I realized that Dead Nettle's usual smell of sea breeze and rotting fish.
Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? I didn't think I'd be seeing you again, Mac. I thought you'd be swimming back to the mainland. Or, well, swimming with the fishes. How's the auditing going?
Well, I quit my job.
You quit? I thought that was the whole reason you were here in the first place.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Why you doing this, Mac? Don't you have a family you need to get back to? Away from the ghost stories?
I don't have any family. I never have. I was found.
Found?
As a baby, I was left on the doorstep of an orphanage with just a blanket and a piece of paper with my name on it. Growing up, I always felt alone, like I was missing someone who loved me. The last orphanage I was in was above a bookstore called Eerie Echoes, and I used to pick up the dime novels that got thrown out at the end of each month. My favorites were always the scary ones.
Why did you like the scary stories so much?
I felt like if I could read the scariest story I could find, it would make my life at the time seem a little less scary by comparison.
That's heartbreaking, Mac.
But that's why I'm still here. I always wanted to be in one of those stories, and now I am. I don't have much of a past, but this is a chance to make myself a future.
Well, I hope you find what you're searching for. But don't say I didn't warn you. Now look, here's something to lift the spirits. Now, I hope you don't mind, but you left your fish hanging there. No sense in letting a fish that size go to waste. I've started cooking it up. It'll be the tastiest fish this side of the Mississippi. We can tuck in as soon as it's cooked.
I tried to hide the realization growing on my face. A mouthful of taxidermy stuffing and chipped teeth from the iron horseshoe hidden inside wouldn't be the culinary sensation Ned was after. Sounds great, Ned. If Ned wanted to wait until the fish was cooked to tuck in, it was time to turn up the heat.
Whoa! We don't want you overdone, little fishy. Time to cut you open. Ready for a taste sensation, Mac?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Hand me back that knife, would you? That's strange. There's something in here. A horseshoe.
Now how did that get in there?
Mac, I think your fish is stuffed.
Well, knock me over with a herring. I'm shocked. Does this mean my record doesn't count?
I hate to break it to you.
Did I hear what I think I heard? Out of the way, Buster.
Evelyn, what took you so long?
The record-breaking Pancosa was stuffed. The new record was a sham. Murphy, what have you got to say for yourself?
You've caught me red-handed. Well, I don't mean to be coy with you, but this cuts me to the soul. I only entered for the halibut. I can't believe I'm herring this right. I'm cracking up. I'm floundering. I'm carping on and on. I need to clear my head, but let me know if you need anything else from me.
I think you've got more of a future in the funny pages than serious journalism, Murphy. Kips, have you got time for an interview with the Juniper Parish Gazette?
Evelyn homed in on Ned like a dog with a bone and no sense of personal boundaries.
Do Pancosa fish ever?
Fisherman David Wiseau run over by own trawler. The newspapers in the cabinet dated back decades. If I was going to find something specific, I needed to match it up with a date. Using the date from the death certificate, I began to search through the newspaper's archives. And then, I found it. In the bottom corner of the newspaper was a small announcement showing that the person buried on that date was named Eleanor Hines. I ripped out the announcement and replaced the newspaper. It was the obituary I'd ripped from the newspaper giving the burial date of someone named Eleanor Hines.
McAllen, I told you can't go back there.
Whoops, look at the time. I've really got to be going. I had a name to go along with the death certificate. Now it was time to find out where they were buried. I scanned the headstones for anything of note, but didn't know what I was searching for. I began searching the graves for the name in the clipping, Eleanor Hines. Aha! I discovered a small headstone at the center of the cemetery, partially covered in moss and lacking any date whatsoever. So this was where Eleanor Hines had been buried, except now that I was looking at it etched in large letters, I began to realize something. The name was an anagram. Here lies no one? And if a person wasn't buried here, what was? To say digging up a grave felt eerie would be an understatement, but if something was down there, I needed to find out what it was. I took out the shovel and began to dig. Eventually, I found something. Not a coffin, but instead, a battered old chest. I opened the chest I dug up from the grave and found two things of interest: a round glass lens and an engraving in the lid of the chest. I picked up the glass lens. The engraving read, "The Tale of the Mermaid." The small lens fit perfectly on the end of the telescope. I immediately looked through it to see what it would reveal. I spy with my little eye the next clue. The Tale of the Mermaid. This must have been the location described in the chest's inscription, but looking through the gap in the weather vane, all I could see was darkness. With no easy path to it, I couldn't justify risking my life trekking through overgrown wilderness and the alligator-infested bayou unless I was sure something was there. I needed some way to light up the bayou. The drainpipe had twisted and now pointed straight up to the sky, empty of everything but moss. The firework dropped snugly into the drainpipe. If it needed a launch tube to fire, this was the closest I was going to get. I took a match out of the matchbook, dragged it against the striker, and lit the firework. Illuminated by the glow of the fireworks, I could see something through the mermaid weather vane. It looked like a wishing well. My route to the well had me clambering over fallen tupelo trees and trudging through knee-deep water, lit only by moonlight and accompanied only by the overly curious critters of the bayou. But eventually, I found it. I looked down the well. I couldn't see the bottom. Perhaps the darkness concealed the next step of my treasure hunt, if I could find a way down into it. I wanted to turn the pulley, but realized the handle was missing. Without a handle, I wasn't going to get the leverage to turn it. The rope looked like it could bear my weight, if only I could lower it into the well first. I looked down the well. I couldn't see the bottom. Perhaps the darkness concealed the next step of my treasure hunt, if I could find a way down into it. I wanted to turn the pulley, but realized the handle was missing. Without a handle, I wasn't going to get the leverage to turn it. I couldn't do that. The rope looked like it could bear my weight. If only I could lower it into the well first. I didn't want to make a hole in that. picked up the starter crank from the jalopy seat. The crank slid into the gear mechanism perfectly. That didn't work. The rope looked like it could bear my weight, if only I could lower it into the well first. I'd heard of throwing a coin down a well to make a wish, but never of throwing yourself down. I just had to hope a 30-year-old rope could still hold my weight. With some luck, I found I'd landed on a metal platform jutting out into the hollow of the well. Clearly, I wasn't the first person to come down here, although the previous visitor might have arrived here more gracefully. I picked up the rope and the spindle it was attached to. I didn't need to tie that up. I didn't need to tie that up. Knowing how flammable the grease-soaked cotton would be, I wrapped it around the spindle to form a rudimentary torch. I took the final match out of the matchbook, careful not to drop it onto the wet floor, and ignited the torch. The torch burned brightly, dancing light into the formerly dark alcove, and that's when I saw it. Hidden within the rock face was a small metal box with a button on it. The torch was in a good place where it was. It was the torch I'd made to light up the alcove. The torch was in a good place where it was. I pressed the button and immediately heard the sound of sparking electricity, seemingly coming from within the rocks themselves, and then the passageway meandered like a labyrinth through the underground rock. With each step, I felt more and more lost and ready to turn back. Then up ahead, I saw a glimmer of light. The top of the stairs appeared to be a dead end, but the wooden board blocking my way and the muffled sounds of electricity suggested there was more to this passageway than met the eye. I placed my hands on the obstruction and pushed. I emerged into a dimly lit office that seemed to have been taken over by frighteningly active machinery, and from the familiar groaning of wood, I realized where I was. So this was the generator that the water wheel was powering. This was what was bringing the spark of life to Cecil's experiments. I solved your treasure hunt, Cecil. I hope you don't mind me taking this as my reward.
Murphy McCallan, you will pay for your insolence.
I have the third key now, Rackham. The treasure doesn't belong to you. I will get to the Belmore treasure before you.
Do you think this is a game, Murphy McCallan? You are toying with things beyond your understanding.
I think you're just nervous that I'm closer to finding the treasure than you are.
I will not be defeated by a mere mortal. Even if you claim the treasure, I will haunt you to the ends of the earth. There will be no escape from the terror and misery I will bring down upon you. Each time you sleep, I will turn your every dream into an unending nightmare.
I've survived your attempts to kill me twice now, Rackham. Maybe you're not as powerful as you think you are.
Even with the 3 keys, do you really think you can beat me to the treasure, Murphy? You are a mortal. I am an all-powerful spirit. I have looked upon the face of death, and still I remain here. Now it's time for you to look upon death too. Just as Cecil Belmore's blood poured from his body, so shall yours.
Rackham's telekinetic powers had dropped me onto the mill's conveyor belt. My wrists and ankles now tied with the same wire that was strewn about the mill, but at least the buzzsaw wasn't on. And then it got even worse. With inches to spare, the belt snagged on the warping wooden frame and gave me a chance of escape, acutely aware that it could catch again any moment and send me hurtling into the spinning blade. No matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. I considered touching the spinning blade, but I was quite attached to my hand, and I wanted to keep it that way. No matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. I considered touching the spinning blade, but I was quite attached to my hand, and I wanted to keep it that way. With my hands and feet bound, I couldn't reach my belongings. I considered touching the spinning blade, but no matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. Thin wire was wrapped tightly around my wrists. I couldn't snap it. I considered touching the spinning blade, but I was quite attached to my hand, and I wanted to keep it that way. Carefully, I held the wire wrapped around my wrists against the spinning blade. It cut through them like butter, just like it would do to me if I couldn't get my ankles free. With seconds left, I hacked into the wires of the scissors and just managed to cut through them, With my legs free, I swung myself off the conveyor belt. I had survived being cut in half, and now I had Cecil's key. That was it. All 3 skeleton keys. Now it was time to open the vault. I placed the first key into the mantelpiece. I placed the second key into the mantelpiece. I placed the third key into the mantelpiece and immediately heard a click. I didn't know what exactly I was going to discover beneath the house, but it was time to find out.
I wouldn't go down there if I were you.
This is the only way to save everyone in the house. I need to see what's down there.
A cry for help will make no sound, with secrets deep below the ground. Dare he walk into the black, for once he's in, he won't come back.